Yeah, what's going on? We are here live, and this is the Midweek Report with the Boxing Source. Here we are, June 10th, 2020, and we have had, a fairly busy couple of days. I know that, we had the boxing card that took place in Las Vegas last night, and they're going to have another boxing card tomorrow. So we're gonna be like going through some of the results of the boxing card that happened in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand um, last night. That is, they had it at the Conference Center Grand Ballroom. There, it was headlined by Shakur Stevenson versus Felix Caraballo, with Shakur Stevenson getting the KO victory there, or stoppage victory, through a body shot. So we'll be, going through that. Also, we'll talk about the announcement for a fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And also look ahead to couple of those fights that are in store for Thursday. And Top Rank did make announcements for cards next week. So we'll be looking forward to those particular cards as well. Um, Planning on having a guest on here live to talk about one of the topics that we have for today. So I am waiting on them to come in for that. But in the meantime, wanted to, go back to what was happening last night. Um, Headlined by Shakur Stevenson, who had held the WBO featherweight championship, was going against Felix Caraballo. And Felix Caraballo was pretty much no match for Shakur Stevenson. Was Stevenson's first fight at 130 pounds, so he wanted to see how he felt, working around the ring at 130. Seemed like Caraballo was there for target practice because Shakur Stevenson was able to land just about everything that he threw at Caraballo. So he was able to break down Caraballo there, up until the sixth round, where Shakur Stevenson scored a body shot on the inside and put Caraballo down to the canvas, and Caraballo didn't get up. So Shakur Stevenson scores his eighth knockout of his professional career, and he has a record of 14-0. Now, there was a lot of talk about him actually moving up to 130 pounds and staying at 130, therefore vacating that WBO featherweight championship. There was like a faint chance that he could face, the current IBF featherweight champion, Josh Warrington. But with Josh Warrington having, plans to unify against Kanzu, then that fight would be next down the line. But like I had asked Shakur Stevenson before his fight against Felix Caraballo, I brought up the notion of him possibly fighting the WBC featherweight champion Gary Russell Jr. And he said that he would be, open to facing Gary Russell Jr., but I don't think his management is ready for that fight. Either Stevenson will move up to 130, or if he has a fight at 126, it would be against Josh Warrington. Or he could possibly fight who could end up being the mandatory contender for that WBO featherweight championship, which could either be um, Jesse Magdaleno or Irish McCollum. But it may say that McCollum may be built to fight Shakur Stevenson in the future. Also, you do have the thing where they had the guy that defeated Shakur Stevenson in the amateurs, Robeisy Ramirez. He was on that card last night. It was the first fight on the card. They had the thing at about 7:20 p.m. First round knockout, and then the next fight didn't happen until like 8:15 or something like that. But Robeisy Ramirez, who lost his first professional fight, two-time Olympic gold medalist, lost his first professional fight, but ever since then he scored 3 consecutive KOs, including last night with his first round knockout there against Yuri Andujar. Pretty much used his left hand as he was the that's what he uses. He's a southpaw, so he just used the left hand and just pretty much destroyed Yuri Andujar in the first fight in that card. The second fight didn't happen, like I said, until around 8:15, 8:20, and it had Quatavius Cash there, going up against Calvin Metcalf. And hopefully, when my guest comes on, we're going to talk about that particular fight. If you caught the live stream yesterday, that was a fairly entertaining, um, fairly entertaining coverage of that fight between Quatavius Cash and Calvin Metcalf. Ended up being a stoppage at the sixth round of a scheduled 6-round bout. So that was a win by Quatavius Cash. Getting in the win column, he's had like a string of victories there, but it actually was ended up being a technical decision there because of an accidental headbutt. And geez, like where in the world did they actually gave Calvin Metcalf a round in that bout? It's crazy. And also, next the next fight that happened was Guido Vianello versus Don Hainsworth. Um, that one was pretty much a wash. Hainsworth was there to get a check. Straight up, he was there to get a check. And once first power shot went down, that's when Don Hainsworth went down. It didn't even get to like count of 6 or whatever it is, and the fight was stopped by Jay Nady. Then in the actually the modified co-feature bout, Jared Anderson, who is called the real Big Baby, went up against Johnny Langston, and he was able to get a stoppage at the 155 mark of the third round. So Jared Anderson goes to 4-0. That's his 4th knockout. That was a fairly good feature for Jared Anderson, where he was able to show his skills there against his opponent in Johnny Langston. I mean, I just said that Jared Anderson utilized how versatile he could be there at the heavyweight division. And even though he just only has like 4 fights, he has some time to work where he could, sharpen up his punches as far as like, having more force behind his punches and also working on his defense a little bit. There were some times that he did get hit. He was switching from, orthodox and southpaw. So that was another thing that looked pretty well there from Jared Anderson. So I'd like to see more from him in the near future there. So Jared Anderson scoring the win there in the co-feature bout, and like I said, Shakur Stevenson at 130 pounds being able to stop Felix Caraballo to get his 8th knockout victory and go to 14-0. So that that just takes care of what happened yesterday, and we're just looking ahead to what's going down on June 11th, headlined by Jesse Magdaleno, who's going up against Jennifer Vicente in a 10-round bout at featherweight. And then the co-feature bout is Adam Lopez versus Louis Correa there, and it's going to be for the NABF featherweight championship. So that gives a chance for Adam Lopez to get himself back up in the ranks there in the featherweight division. He did, have his fight against Oscar Valdez, where he was like a late replacement there. He took it on the day's notice and was able to, knock down Valdez, but wasn't able to take advantage of that, and then ended up getting stopped in the 7th round against Oscar Valdez there. But he'll be going up against Louis Correa there for the vacant NABF featherweight championship. You're going to also have at lightweight Brian Lua going up against Dan Murray. And then in bantamweight, you'll have Gabriel Muratalla versus Fernando Robles. And also at lightweight, Eric Mondragon versus Mike Sanchez. So that is the slate for tomorrow, June 11th. But we have some more things going down next week. So they had announced, during that time where the fights were going down, that Josh Greer Jr. Will be headlining the fight card on June 16th at the MGM Grand Conference Center Grand Ballroom, going up against Mike Melania. And he has the thing with the pillow. I don't know if he's going to be bringing the pillow for next week, but he's going up against Mike Melania there, and he is the #1 contender at bantamweight, the WBO rankings at bantamweight. So he'll be going up against Mike Melania, whose only loss came to Juan Carlos Payano there. So that's going to be fairly good. I think that might be a little bit of a good main event, or it'll be something there that kind of like feature Josh Greer Jr. For Greer to make a statement there in that particular bout. And then in the co-feature, you have Antonio DeMarco versus Giovanni Santillan, or Santillan. I say Santillan. Who cares? All right. So you got Antonio DeMarco, who's former world champ there. Is they going up against Santillan, who's coming in with a record of 25-0 with 15 KOs there. So you have that. And then in the undercard, you're going to have Edward Vasquez going to be in a 6-round bout at super featherweight. You're also going to have Hector Perez going up against Juan Torres. And then there is going to be a super middleweight bout between Isaiah Jones and Nicholas Sekniashvili. I screwed that joke up, man. So, I mean, come on, man. Like, we put the thing in there, and I just try to, attempt to make the name out of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we got there for that card on June 16th. June 18th, they're going to have Jose Pedraza against Miguel Lespierre. So Jose Pedraza at 26-3 versus Miguel Lespierre at 22 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. That's going to be at super lightweight. The co-feature bout will feature Gabriel Flores Jr. against Jose Ruiz. Flores is there at 17-0 with 6 KOs, while Ruiz is there with a record of 21 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws for 14 KOs. Flores Jr. was in part of that undercard for the Wilder Fury 2 fight card. So he's going to be having two fights this year, pretty much within 4 months. So we got that going down. I got one guy in here. Oh man, see, come on, man. I can't catch up to you, man. You out there, you just getting you bench pressing like 600 pounds out here, man. Like, come on, man.
Man, just trying to keep this old body in shape, you know.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you, man. So what's been going on? Did you catch the fights yesterday?
Yeah, I was out. I was in and out. Definitely caught the main event with Shakur Stevenson. Uh, First thing I'm gonna say, I don't want to hit any more comparisons in regards to him with being like Floyd Mayweather. Of course, he has great numbers at this point, with not being hit, things like that. I appreciate that. That means he's definitely on the
Hmm.
right on the right path. But we have to keep in mind that this kid is young at this point. So, but I mean,
Hmm.
all I said, he looked very good last night. There's some times when he started digging with his power. I mean, obviously he does have some good power with the 6 round TKO to the body, things like that. But I tell you what, when we sit here and have a conversation about Shakur Stevenson, I would love to talk about him in 2 to 3 years down the line. He is going to be a force. He's going to be a force. I mean, he's great right now, but please stop with all the comparisons of Mayweather, things like that. And to his credit, he's a humble kid. He said that he doesn't try to emulate Floyd. He loves Pernell Whitaker, Mayweather, and a couple of people that you mentioned that he tends to model himself after to include his manager, Andre Ward. But he definitely
Hmm.
looked great last night. But kind of, I'm sure you probably already talked about it. That side note, when they talk about who could he possibly match up with, and the main person that they avoided, which is crazy. And even like I said last night in the group, it's not like Gary Russell can go to the fight and shoot and call some and get in a ring, things like that. Stuff that you typically see from a fighter when you see a fight. So in this new land with no fans, things like that, only no one in attendance but just the production media stuff like that. He can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to see Gary Russell get back on that horse and we're just doing some stuff on social media just to keep his name out there. Because right, last night was a perfect example. They trying to freeze him out, and he's available to fight. So it's just crazy. But other than that, Shakur Stevenson definitely good. He definitely do what he has to do in a 10 round non-title bout. So good for him.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Shakur Stevenson that I was saying in reference to that one, they tried to build him up. Yeah, talking about like, yeah, he's the next Floyd Mayweather. He's the youngest, one of the youngest world champions at the division, like Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather. But when it comes to like future fights, everybody keeps bringing up that Josh Warrington fight. Well, the thing is, number one, Josh Warrington was a guy that ended up going from Queensborough Promotions to Matchroom, and then when he went to Matchroom, he said, "You know what? I want that fight with Shakur Stevenson. I'm gonna go ahead and fight Cannon Wu for unification." So that's one thing. And the other thing is, it's like I'm the only one that will mention Gary Russell Jr.'s name when it comes to a unification with Shakur Stevenson. I had, it was part of the conference call that they had for the last night's bout. There, look at him. He's getting about, those 50-pound dumbbells right now. Um, and when I was talking about Gary Russell Jr., every other media person was talking about Josh Warrington. And I'm like, we've talked about Josh Warrington ever since January and February. Josh Warrington is not the only fighter there in the featherweight division. Stop that, man. Go
And
ahead and mention Gary Russell Jr.'s name, who's held the world title longer than anybody in boxing right now. He's the longest reigning world champion right now, Gary Russell Jr., and nobody wants to talk about it.
and even on top of that, he's not tied down to a network, so there's no going to be any promotional risks that's going to prevent that fight, things like that. And like we spoke about last Sunday, the politics of boxing getting in the way of certain fights. Well, that's not the case here. Because like I said, Gary Russell is not tied down to anyone. He's not obligated. He has a relationship
Hmm.
with Al Haymon. We know that. But he's not in that stable per se, which gives him the freedom to
Right.
move like he wants to move. And even in that regard, you just had an interview with Shakur Stevenson, and you posted a question to
Yeah.
him. You said like, "Hey, would you like to fight Daryl?" He said, "Hey, that would be a great fight. That would be a great fight." And so that was kind of disappointing in regard that he didn't bring it up himself when they looked to him to say what do you want to do next. So I was kind of disappointed because
Hmm.
we just heard him say that that would be a great fight. So uh, I don't want to call the kid scared because we just saw
Nah,
Chippy
I
another
won't.
fighter.
Yeah, I won't call them scared, but I will call out those people at Top Rank, those announcers, and I'm calling out Joe Tessitore. I'm calling out Tim Bradley. I'm calling them out because they are the ones that are supposed to be mentioning those names. They're the ones that are supposed to mention Gary Russell Jr. and they didn't do that.
Yep, yep, very disappointing.
You know,
Like
so
I said,
and the other thing with Shakur Stevenson was for me, I'm not all too impressed with Shakur Stevenson. They're trying to build him up as the next guy that goes up the divisions and be, among the top in pound for pound. But he doesn't really do anything that really impresses me that much. Like I know that he had the stoppage in this particular bout, but he's expected to get a stoppage in this particular bout. What did he do in this fight for the WBO featherweight title? He had to just go through those 12 rounds and get the decision win. He didn't just wow everybody and just get the guy out of there, especially with the build-up for that particular fight, fighting the guy that's the brother of his girlfriend. And they
yeah,
built it up and they built it up and everything. And all he did was just basically go through the motions like he couldn't be touched by the guy. And he just went through the motions through 12 rounds. While you have someone like Gary Russell Jr. That can take out guys at featherweight, that could stop guys at featherweight. You know, um, and for me, especially when I hear stories about Shakur Stevenson in the gym, that there's some people that can hang with Shakur Stevenson. Like he doesn't blow people away around this weight class, or around 130 or 135. And here I am in the DMV, and you have the who's who around those particular weight classes. And Shakur Stevenson doesn't stand out. Had a discussion last night with somebody about it. I said, you have someone like Errol Spence Jr., how Errol Spence Jr. was, boosted up. Like how people talk about Gary Russell, I mean not Gary Russell, but Errol Spence Jr. Like, oh, we did this at Floyd Mayweather gym. He gave Floyd a welt in his eye. This guy must be the goods. Like they talked about that well before he was contending for the IBF welterweight championship. But with Shakur Stevenson, even though he was up there and he had the fight against Robeisy Ramirez in the Olympics and ended up losing by decision, people weren't talking about him like he is the goods and whatnot. So if that's the case, I'm like, what is he doing now as a professional that's building them to that particular level that says, hey, oh, this guy's gonna be something in professional boxing? I just don't see it.
you know what? As you're sitting there, everything you just said, you know what that made me think about? Uh, last year when Top Rank joined ESPN,
Hmm.
what one fighter did they just continually promote like he's the best thing since sliced bread? And granted, he gets a lot of credit for what he's done within the short professional career. Who's the guy
There's
you're talking about?
only no, I was gonna say Tyson Fury, but they promote Vasyl Lomachenko like he's a god or something like that.
There you go. There
But
you go. And
he
it's
lost
like,
to Orlando Toledo.
mm-hmm, there you go. And it's like if they continue the promotion of Shakur Stevenson going forward, that's just what's going to be like. Just like that. The same energy they put into Lomachenko. Like I said, with Lomachenko, and all credit to what he's done, but we know he's not all that soon. He's continue to prove himself and going forward. But with Stevenson, he does a lot of things good, but nothing necessarily great. We know that, and we saw that on display last night. He took care of business last night, 6-round TKO. We know that, but that's what he's supposed to do. But like I said, is it spectacular? No, but with the promotion they put into him now, it's like, come on, man, slow down with these comparisons. He's nice, but he ain't all that. So, but I mean, the kid himself, he's humble. Uh, he's not trying to hope. And with Andre Ward behind him, hopefully that's a good team. That's probably the best person in boxing behind him to keep him level-headed, keep him hungry, and keep him doing the right things. But ESPN needs to slow down with this promotion. He's the next thing. He's good, but the thing about it, if he's really that good, then why not face Gary Russell Jr. next? Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Hey, before I bring on this next person on, shout out to Leonard Ellaby Snows for watching. Shout out to Leonard Ellaby Snows. But I have to bring in another guest. We all know who it is. The president of the Deontay Wilder fan club and the president of the Claressa Shields fan club in future husband of Claressa Shields, Mr. Matthew Brown.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Yo, my baby was on Facebook Live going to fight somebody yesterday, man. What the hell was going on?
Oh, I don't know about all that, man. Like, yo, you might have to send her a private message and be like, calm down, baby, calm down.
I don't want her to pull up on me trying to fight. I'm good, man. That girl crazy.
Oh, man. Like I said, she crazy, but I love her. Hey, so Matt, we're talking about the fights yesterday, man, and I was like, number one, Shakur Stevenson, he got the stoppage, but man,
he's a
whatever he does,
he's not real.
Jay-Z line,
yeah. Do you realize that we watched 4 hours of a boxing telecast? That
3.5 or 4 hours.
Only consisted of 11 rounds of boxing.
11 rounds of boxing, 5 fights. It started at 7 o'clock. The first fight was at 7:21. It lasted about 1 minute and 5 seconds. That first fight. Yep. The next fight didn't happen until 8:05 or 8:15. Like I said, I had that live yesterday, man, and that was like from the first fight to the second fight. I'm like, oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, that live was a bad idea. I'm pretty sure you were more than you thought you would be.
Yeah, than I wanted to be. I was talking about hopefully this whole thing will be over by 8:30, and then after the first fight, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is not going to end till 10 o'clock. Yo, after the second fight, I'm done. But yo, that second fight was entertaining.
It was. Yo, I did not know that John David Jackson unretired. I did not know.
Yo, like I said yesterday, I was like, yo, this dude got a George Jefferson haircut in the front and a Keith Thurman haircut in the back.
Yo, why you talking about my homie, man? Why you talking about my homie? That's my homie.
That was the most entertaining part of the whole card, man.
You know, for some reason, as soon as I saw him, my first thought was when Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith used to tell LeBron, "Come on home, brother. Just come on home, man.
Yes, come on
home, brother."
Yo, that was just hilarious. And the thing about it was like, yo, the guy was just throwing all arm punches the whole fight, while Cortavious Cash was just sitting on his punches like, pop, 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 pop. I was like, man.
It was entertaining, though. I will give it that. It was very entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained.
Hey, well, there wasn't for that.
Not so much.
Yeah, not so much. They had an accidental head, but I thought Quatavious Cash had one opportunity to come up with the counter right hand because he was open and we were in like bah, and that could have just that would have rocked him, but he didn't even take advantage of that. But he got some rounds in Quatavius Cash. He got back in the win column because he was 1-2 in the last 3 fights, so that was good for him. That fight with Hainsworth and the Guido guy. Hainsworth came into that fight at almost 300 pounds. So he was just there to get a check. He was just showing up. He said, look, I'm going to show up. I'm going to test negative. And if I test negative, man, I'm paid. I don't care.
Exactly.
And he was like, what was that? That was only about a minute. He was just down on the canvas. And they ain't even make the whole count. He's like, man, you paid, so who cares, man? Stop the fight. But that Jared Anderson fight, though, I liked that a little bit. I liked Jared Anderson what he was doing in there.
He was what Jared Anderson was doing in there, except he was getting hit a little bit too much.
He was
supposed to be a no-hoper.
Yeah, he was getting hit a little bit too much. Yeah, Jared, who is nicknamed the Real Big Baby, is there. He said, he had some amateur experience. So he came in the professional ranks. He's now 4-0. So he looked pretty good, but he was getting hit a lot. Yeah,
I think he's a 2-time national champion, but he didn't want to wait to go to the Olympics because he needed money, so he turned pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's kind of how that worked out for him. So, but yeah, he looked fairly good in that thing there. But they were talking about maybe they'll have a fight between Anderson and the Guido Vianello or something like that. You know what I mean? But nah, we don't want to see all that.
I don't think Top Rank is going to do that.
Yeah. And I was talking about the card that's coming up tomorrow, but I mean, it's just pretty much like some filler fights there. I'm looking forward to next week.
It's a mess.
I'm looking forward to next week where Josh Greer Jr. is going to be featured on the 16th there, so he'll be facing Mike Kalania, and then Antonio DeMarco is going to be in the co-feature bout for that. So that's going to be pretty good, and we'll get more and more good fights later on down the line. But now we got to get to the topic.
I'm not watching any Top Rank fights.
He's going on the Top Rank strike. Let's get to the topic at hand.
I'm not watching any Top Rank fights. I'm on strike. I will never, ever watch a Top Rank fight again. I just can't do it. They insulted me as a black fight fan, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the bullshit. Every time.
With the dadgum comment.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's worse than Golden Boy having that guy on the staff. Because my goodness. Like, actually, you know what? Because of that comment, Andre Ward should quit. He should quit being a commentator, man. He should be like, that's how y'all feel? Shoot, then I'm out.
Yep.
Tim Bradley will stay on though, because that's Tim Bradley. But
exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, I want to get on it.
Unless he's
villain.
It's not worth the price of admission.
Not worth the price of admission. Like, come on, man. Jeez. Yo.
Yep.
This announcement, man. So Eddie Hearn and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are talking about, we're going to have the fight. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Financial terms have been agreed to. A 2-fight deal. But it's not going to happen until next summer, which would be 12 to 14 months from now. So, all social media, all the boxing fans, they're like, "Woo! Undisputed heavyweight title fight." I'm like, it's not happening until next summer. You got a whole bunch of fights
Yep.
that are planned out that have to happen, and those guys have to win those bouts in order for them to fight each other for the
Yep.
undisputed heavyweight championship. And I know that one particular person says that it won't take but one fight for this plan to go all crashing down.
Matt,
But,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you got a question?
Matt, before you jump in, let me ask you one question. Is there room for me on the Deontay Wilder boat? Because I want to jump in, because I want him to come and crash down this party that they got planned ahead for Fury and Joshua. Because I want Wilder definitely to win now. All because of
He's putting in his application.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. We all know that the fight ain't gonna happen because the Alabama Slammer, the Slim Reaper, is coming for his WBC title back. But damn all that, right? What I want to examine is why why was this fight all of a sudden announced this week?
Okay. And, well, at least they made
Oh,
the date.
JR.
They didn't wait. They made the
Two
date.
things happened.
well, and
Two things happened, JR.
even just
Two
with that
things
announcement,
happened.
yeah,
Let's remember.
even with that announcement, when this was being floated out there
We
about
have
a
to.
good month ago, right? Remember this was being floated out there, and Fury denied it. Just kept denying it. So, oh no, it's just stuff going on. Even we said then, they just floating to see the public interest in that. And it's so funny that once they squatted down, then boom, we woke up what 10 o'clock this morning to the announcement. I was like, whoa. I did not expect it at all, but they basically worked behind the scenes and then like I said, waiting for everything to quiet down and they put this big announcement up on it, which is crazy. But plain say, I want Warren to fuck shit up. That's it. Fuck shit up. Warren. Do what you do. Do what you do. Fuck this thing up.
Listen. Let me tell you. Let me tell you something, brother. Okay. First of all, Anthony Joshua, despite all the good words I had for him on this past Sunday's edition of the Boxing Source Radio Show and podcast, Anthony Joshua is exactly the coward that I always thought he was. Okay?
Oh,
And
here
Eddie
we
Hearn,
go.
whose father, Eddie Hearn, whose father was bragging about being slave drivers. Okay? Eddie Hearn had nothing to speak of about Anthony Joshua's comments. He didn't
Oh,
even
wait.
come out
Oh,
in
whoa,
support of his own
whoa.
fighter.
Stop. Whoa, time out. Whoa, time out. Yes, he did. You missed it. You missed what he was talking about today. Missed it. You gotta look at how it felt. Well, I don't know if you want to listen to Coogan that much, but Eddie Hearn did make comments about it today. I'll send you the link.
Listen, I'm not watching no IFL. I'm not watching no IFL with that sorry ass
MTK
passion.
Global.
I don't want to hear no nothing from IFL. Yeah, and let's talk about what happened. Eddie Hearn wanted to distract the public from Anthony Joshua's comments. That is the only reason why this so-called fight was announced. And what happened with Tyson Fury's side? MTK Global, Daniel Kinahan, the Irish mob boss. I just want to point that out. He's an Irish mob boss that is responsible for the murders of dozens of people, okay? For dozens of people. One of the gyms in Ireland that MTK Global Fighters work out at got firebombed, okay? The United Arab Emirates Embassy in Ireland got defaced and vandalized with threats to Kinahan MTK Global because Daniel Kinahan is a fucking mob boss. So what better way to have the cowardly, no good boxing media distracted and not talking about this story than to announce this bogus fight. All right? And because Anthony Joshua did not have the guts, the balls to stand on his square when we all agree he didn't say anything wrong. He said nothing wrong. But because Anthony Joshua is a coward of a man and he can't stand on his own beliefs and face a backlash from racist ass fans in the UK, because that's what they are, they're fucking racist, because he does not have the courage of his convictions, I hereby announce that Anthony Joshua will forever be inducted into the MVO, most valued opinion for those who are not to know, Book of Negroes. Okay? I'm done with him. I'm done with Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder was right about him the whole time. This man has no courage, no balls, no courage in his convictions. He is just a puppet, an instrument for his puppet master, Eddie Hearn, to make money in boxing. Fuck Anthony Joshua. Fuck Eddie Hearn. Fuck Daniel Kinahan. Fuck Mr. All Lives Matter, Tyson Fury. Fuck them all. I'm done.
Man, I don't know what that was all about, because let me go through this here. Number one.
Don't look at me like that, JR.
No.
Don't look at me like that.
Number one. I know that you don't want to watch the thing with MTK Global, but I watched it. I watched what Eddie Hearn said. And Eddie Hearn said what I have said multiple times over with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn works for Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua does not work for Eddie Hearn. That's number one. Number two, Eddie Hearn talked about the comments that Anthony Joshua made and said the same things that we've been basically saying, that all of these racist people have taken bits and pieces of what Anthony Joshua was reading and then spun it and said that it was, we should just do support black businesses and not support anybody else, and this and calling it racist and stuff like that. He said people should not be taking bits and pieces of clips like that and making their so-called opinions and thinking that's what Anthony Joshua said. So he backed what Anthony Joshua was talking about in that protest. That's number two. Number three, Deontay Wilder never had the courage to step up and fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And even though Terrell says that he wants Deontay Wilder to throw all these plans out the window and defeat Tyson Fury, if he does that, he still won't have the courage to fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world, because he, from Alabama, can't get enough courage, can't even get the motivation from the Alabama Crimson Tide to step up and say, I am the best, and prove that he is the best and fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Therefore, Tyson Fury has to be the guy to end Deontay Wilder's career. And if the fight happens, whether it's October, November, or December, and Tyson Fury defeats Deontay Wilder, you know that Paul Bearer will make a return appearance when we will put the career of Deontay Wilder to rest forever and ever. That is what's going to happen. And the Deontay Wilder fan club on that date will officially be defunct. Oh man. They will go through things according to plan. Fury will beat Wilder. Joshua will beat Pulev. He will beat Usyk. Fury will beat White. And we'll have the undisputed heavyweight championship fight. I know that you have hopes and dreams. These dreams, they come up when I close my eyes every second of the night.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Okay.
What's gonna happen with Usyk?
Still according to plan. Because here's the thing. You're going to have Joshua Pulev around November to December. Around that same time frame, Usyk and Chisora will fight each other. Okay? So Usyk will get the win. Joshua will get the win. Next fight, Joshua versus Usyk, while Fury faces White, because that mandatory has to be fulfilled. So while Fury is fighting White, Joshua will fight Usyk. And then, once that's done, you're all clear for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua by August of 2021. I know. It was great.
It's not going to happen.
Hopes and dreams.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Deontay Wilder is going to stiffen Tyson Fury. Okay? Mr. All Lives Matter is going to have his brain matter splattered all over the canvas once he steps into the ring with the great Deontay Wilder.
I have a question about that. We've talked about this with Deontay Wilder.
I can't believe these guys, man.
And Deontay Wilder did announce that he injured his arm. So he supposedly is just recovering or just having his use of his arm. So you think that from this point to whenever they have the fight between him and Tyson Fury, that he's going to be in full 100% condition to fight Tyson Fury? I thought he was fighting Mike Tyson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, this is Deontay Wilder's last stand. And he is going to give every ounce of his being to regain his WBC heavyweight championship. And the best of Deontay Wilder is better than the best of any heavyweight in the world. Believe that.
And let me throw this in on just to back you up on that. So, with the announcement of this deal, what do you think Wilder's personal reaction is of that announcement? So, with that said, that's more than enough motivation for him to go in and fuck up shit against Fury. Because, like, or you guys want to move on without me? You want to move past me? You want to just think I'm just a bump in the road? Nope, I'm going to show you. So that's even more motivation for him to go in and do what he has to do. Just because the thing about it, if he knocks Tyson Fury out flat in whatever round, that's gonna just totally damage Tyson Fury's brand going to a potential Fury and Joshua fight. So it's like I said, even more motivation for him to do what he got to do.
He could have all the motivation that he can get. He is not going to defeat Tyson Fury.
Deontay Wilder has all the motivation he needs.
To this day,
You're just hoping that, JR.
to this day,
You're just hoping that. That's
hoping,
all. You're just hoping.
hoping. How does another steak dinner sound?
Listen, Deontay Wilder can't win again in this fight. Okay, let's not worry about it.
You're squeezing this side. Just put right there.
I was.
Thank you.
But what's going on in the gym, Terrell? Like, what squeezing what? Like,
Hold on.
like I don't know what they squeezing out there. Like, yo, like,
just wind up on it, wind up on it.
Hey, pick something up and run with it. Oh man, yo, hey Matt, anything?
You guys are assholes, man.
Hey, listen, Matt, you know that I can get to that level, especially when they talk about your girls. So, hey, hey, so what's up with the?
About what's going on with Canelo? It seems like Canelo.
Oh my God.
Like it's only interested in fighting PC fighters.
Screwed.
He's looking to fight the Revuchenko, Caleb Plant.
But here's the thing. Right now, Canelo's not in a good spot because they have the deal with them, right? And the deal is pretty much contingent on him fighting in front of fans. So they can't use part of that deal that they have to have him fight somebody with no fans. Otherwise, what are they going to do? They're going to have him fight Derevianchenko for $15 million like he fought, who was it, the AM guy with his first fight in the deal? So are they going to give him the same deal for Derevianchenko that they gave him for, what was that, Callum Johnson or whoever it was? They can't do that.
Rocky Fielding.
Like, thanks for the opportunity, like, for a Derevianchenko fight, especially when they were trying to make that Derevianchenko fight, or supposedly trying to make that Derevianchenko fight when they were actually going to make the Kovalev fight. Nah, they ain't gonna. Like, what? Like, a $15 million guarantee? You think Derevianchenko's going to accept that? No. You also got Billy Joe Saunders saying, hey,
I think
we had a deal. So once everything comes back up, you're going to have to pay the piper. So what else can he do? He's stuck.
Listen, I've been saying for a little bit, I think Caleb Plant is gonna be the fight. I think it's gonna be Caleb Plant, and I can't wait for that.
But now, if I was Caleb Plant, I'd be like, nah, y'all on CP time, and this ain't CP time. Nah, I mean, this is Canelo. Like, Canelo getting getting guarantees of $30 million. I want a piece of that percentage. And I ain't going to fight him in front of no fans if you know that you're not going to be paying him $30 million for a fight without any fans. I don't think he's going to do that. What's going to be the guarantee for him?
I think $5 million gets it done. Caleb Plant.
So, quick question for you. So, in regards to like Canelo's last fight, I'm not sure what he made, but where did most of that money come from? Did that come from the live gate or just from the coffers of the zone? What's paying for his fights?
Well, part of it comes from that live gate. They put him in Vegas there for a reason against Kovalev, even though they waited about what it was about 50-55 minutes before they came out to the ring for that particular fight. But like it depends on that live gate. So that's where the returns come from. So if they don't get that live gate, then they not really gonna have that upfront or that guarantee for Canelo Alvarez. So instead of giving them $30 million or pretty much around $30 to $33 million, they can't do that this time around. Can they give them 20? I don't know.
We'll see. We will see.
But if it's $20
I
million,
think
then I know Caleb
Plant
Plant wouldn't take
versus
no five.
Canelo is a huge fight.
Like I would be surprised if they go with
But
it.
who
I
even
think it's gonna
knows?
be.
Who knows where we're gonna be in September as it pertains to the fans thing? It looks like Texas is already approving fans at 50% capacity. So you're telling me that Canelo versus Plant at Texas Stadium with 50% of the
AT&T.
crowd spread out at 100,000? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
100,000 people could fit in there. If you want to cut that to 50,000, you're telling me they can't do a great gate with that? Come on.
They could do 40,000. They could do
Yeah.
40,000. If they could pull off, yeah, if they could pull off 40,000, then yeah, I could see that happening where they could get closer to that $30 million guarantee that Canelo gets. And if that's the case, then Caleb Plant could get about 8, 9, or up to $10 million for that fight. And if they do
Yeah.
send that out this way, then yeah, Caleb Plant is gonna take that. He's gonna take that, and it's like, shoot, I'm ready to ride. Like, who cares about David this Benavidez? I'm going up against Canelo. Bump that. So yeah, he could try and pull that off. And
I,
there,
ju- I just
no issues.
I just find it interesting that Canelo, he turned down everything Golden Boy has offered and everything the Zone has offered, and he's looking to fight PBC guys. Like, is that gonna be basically a harbinger for the future where Canelo is looking to branch out and just not fight these in-house guys?
Well, I think from a
Let me pose a question to you.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Terrell.
So, last year Canelo fought Rocky Field. Then, yeah, that's it. So Canelo's fought Rocky Field. Then jumped up to fight Kovalev. Would you ever say that at any point that Canelo is, and what I'm getting at, would Canelo actually fight Caleb Plant? Because Caleb Plant could definitely beat Canelo. Good power, comparable size, and definitely has the skills to beat Canelo. Would Canelo really take that risk to beat him? You see what I'm saying? What do you guys think?
Caleb Plant is
Yeah.
Canelo's preferred fight, though. That's the fight that Canelo actually wants. He wants the Plant fight.
I don't know, because like I said, not that Canelo's ever been scared of anyone, but when you're in the cash out, you can pick and choose who you want to fight. And that's why I just kind of want to say, would Canelo really fight him? I really don't know, because Caleb Plant really has a great chance to beat him out of like a list of 3 people out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Canelo's Canelo. He'll fight anybody. He wants the biggest challenge. No matter
Exactly.
what that
Exactly.
challenge is. He's not someone that would want to take an easy route if there was an easy route. He wants the best challenge available and
Yeah,
wants to
he's not
take that
Triple G.
challenge.
He's
Yeah,
not
he's
Triple
not
G.
Triple
He's
G.
Canelo.
He don't say that good boy. Like he don't say good boy. Nah, he don't he say no good boy. Um, he wants the best challenges. So he's not gonna go ahead and fight a Camille Cesare or Steve Rose. You know,
Hell no.
he's not gonna do that. That ain't part of Canelo's style. That is not the method of El Campeon. All right. So
Exactly.
he's not gonna take no type of fight like that. He'd rather sit on the bench for 12 to 14 months if he has to. You know. So yeah, that's the thing there, man. Um, what about that news the other day of Gvozdyk retiring, man?
Yeah. Better beat him into submission, basically. You know. I just find it funny that there's actually I swear I kid you not. There's guys because you know I'm heavy on boxing Twitter. There's guys asking the question, is Gvozdyk a Hall of Famer? I said, what?
What?
Listen, I don't know what it is about these Eastern European fighters that the boxing public is just looking to crown them without proving it. But for some reason, American fighters, they have to prove it and prove it constantly. But you get these Eastern European guys, and they're lauded as soon as they get over here. I don't know if it's like the boxing hipster crowd that just wants to seem like they're smart. You know, I don't know what it is, but anyone who thinks Gvozdyk is a Hall of Famer, that's a joke. You know, I hope he's happy in retirement. Um, he was a great talent, you know, and he just ran up against a guy that's just bigger, badder, and stronger than him, and got his ass up out of
Yep. So they're saying like he's a Hall of Famer
there.
in 18 fights.
Yeah,
And even just
How
and
you
even
a
just to
Hall of
suggest
Famer
that
in 18 fights?
and even on top of that,
yeah.
I would love to know what these business opportunities are that he retired for. I mean, you got to be like giving the next great IPO or something like that that everybody's going to buy into in order to just step into boxing at 17-1. And still got many opportunities with stuff like that. And it's pedigree.
Yeah.
So, like it's almost like right, Matt. It's like Ben Beard just beat him into submission. That's what it looks like, and that's going to be part of his legacy. On top of that, going forward, like why didn't you fight? Because you still balance both worlds. What can you do both things, business and boxing? So kind of shocking. I was definitely just taken aback when I read that. Like wow.
Well, I mean, I guess he can't do much of anything to like move up. I guess he would be still there light heavyweight, and if he can't beat Archer better be, then I
And
guess
who
he
he gonna
says,
beat?
"Yo,
Who he? Exactly.
yeah, he like who he gonna beat?" So
Exactly, man.
it's basically that was
Who he
basically
gonna
the
beat?
end of the road for him. Then so hey, if he can't beat the best, and it better be him, then he's like, "Yo, man, forget it, man, I'm out." He's like, "Peace with this stuff, man." So I mean, more power to him, but just retiring just like that is, pretty shocking to say the least in reference to that, man. I'll pretty much like go wrap it up for today. We have the podcast that's available that has Adrian Clark included in it. It's available on iTunes or Google Podcasts. And we will have the next version of the Boxing Sports Radio Show coming up on Sunday. I'm going to work on getting Jamel Herring on for that particular show. So hopefully that will work out to get him on. And that's pretty much it for this one, man. Anything else from y'all that y'all want to bring up?
I'm good.
All right.
Free Ryan Garcia. That's all I want to say. Free King Rye.
Oh man, don't tell me they going through that crap again, man. Dang, man. All right.
Yeah.
So
Free King Rye, baby.
Hey, that'll be on the next rumor report right there. Is about Ryan Garcia, I guess. So, y'all check out the rumor report. And until next time, folks, I'm out. Peace.